So the Merrimack Valley Small Business Center operates in Middlesex and Essex County, which I don't actually think you fall into here in Natick. But we provide small business support services to all stages of entrepreneur, as well as we're a SBA microlender, which means that we can provide loans, pretty low interest, very flexible loans to small businesses at any stage, up to $50,000. And what's really unique about our SBA microloan is that it's targeted to individuals who would not qualify for a bank loan otherwise. So maybe their credit is not as high as most banks would like. Their business is a startup business, which many times banks won't fund startups, or for some other reason, maybe they don't have enough credit. So this loan gets people who are in the process of starting a business or trying to grow a business into some pretty affordable money without having to take a predatory loan if their credit isn't great. So that's great. So we do that. And then we do a lot of one-on-one coaching, a ton of one-on-one coaching. We're trying to move towards more group-based workshop coaching just simply because of the volume. But I've been with the organization since June. The ecosystem where we operate in Lowell and Lawrence is actually really strong, the entrepreneurial ecosystem. So we're looking for ways to offer services and information that isn't as readily available as your typical QuickBooks, financial support, business plan. So we're going to be working kind of like splitting our focus towards that ideation stage, because so many people in the startup, at least what we see, is they come in with a million ideas. They don't really know how to self-identify which is the right one for them that actually has potential. And so we'll work a lot on helping them figure out what that looks like. And then the other part of business operations that I see people struggle with all the time is actually the operations stage. So you get your business, your doors are open, maybe you have customers, but you have no idea how to handle that back end stuff. And that ends up being, wagging that business owner into a frenzy, typically. So we do a lot of support. We help them build a 1-year operations plan in advance of even launching their business. So they can really have a grounded focus for that first year, so working on the business and not in the business, like we say.
That's what they say.
Yeah, that's what they say. So that's that.
That's that. And how many people are involved in that?
There are 1.5 of us at this point. It's a fairly small organization. It's a nonprofit organization under the umbrella of Community Teamwork, CTI, which everybody knows up in the Lowell area. But yeah, small but huge impact, because we're busy and effective.
And so people can just come, do you have criteria for people to come in?
No, we don't, which is good and also a challenge when you have 1.5 people. But no, it's actually open to anybody at really any stage of business. We operate on a storefront location in downtown Lowell on Merrimack Street, which means we get walk-ins too. So we get appointments, we get walk-ins, we have SCORE. Are you familiar with SCORE?
Yeah, oh yes.
So we have house SCORE, and I just am certified as a SCORE member this week. So I'll be meeting. So we really do soup to nuts. We also work on exit strategy. We actually do a lot of crisis support for business owners, particularly is around lease information. So they got into a lease they didn't necessarily understand, or they bought a business where they thought that they were getting a particular set of equipment or deal, and it turns out that that's not actually the case. So we do a lot of kind of crisis support, or they're a transportation company and they just lost their contract, or they're a home business and they just had a flood. We're working with the Lawrence group right now on the gas crisis issue. Yeah, and trying to help them get reopened and figuring out what resources are needed and how do we help them make the best case to Columbia Gas regarding what is an illegitimate claim. And so we do everything, soups to nuts.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of work.
It is. But when you're helping people create their dream or save it, it's worth it every day.
Interesting. And you're also on the faculty at Middlesex Community College?
Yeah, actually, I've been there for years, 6 years, 7 years. We just launched this really, I think, innovative entrepreneurial education program where it's called Launch Your Business Now. It's our certificate program where people come in and they take, the certificate is 5 classes, but after they take 3 core classes, which is essentially your business model class based on the lean launch model, and then a business plan class where they develop their entire business plan, and an operations class where they develop this 1-year operations plan. After that, they can apply for funding. We have seed funding. It's called the Everyday Entrepreneur Venture Fund. A generous couple who had made money in the liquor industry, actually, decided they wanted to give away $1 million to community colleges across the country. We were one of 4 that got selected, which is amazing. And so in December, right before Christmas, we're going to give away $50,000 to seed funds to students who participated in the program. It's competitive, but after they get the funds, they will also get access to 3 mentors who work with them both to help them manage their projections to make sure that they're hitting their targets, as also staying on top of that operations plan, because that's the thing that usually ends up floating to the wayside. So it's a great program.
Usually you think if you have enough customers, the operations will take care of itself.
Oh, yeah. I've heard people say, all you need is business. No. I've run several businesses where I had too much business and the operations killed me. So. Oh,
interesting. So that's your own entrepreneur.
So that's my own, just being in the trenches, sinking, swimming, and figuring out what I needed. And the thing that was always more difficult for me to access in terms of support was the operations piece, that you got to show up every day and do what, to stay on top of it. Especially entrepreneurs aren't always the most organized, habit-forming people. We tend to be excitable, energized drivers, not someone who wants to get up and do the checklist.
Right. There's this balance between being experimental in nature and trying different things and setting a process that is more defined.
Yep. And a lot of the entrepreneurs that I know, once it gets up and running, you're past the ideation stage, then they get bored. So and get overwhelmed by the work. And so we try to make sure that work is something that's manageable enough from the outset that they continue to feel inspired by that.
Do you find any particular industries that you like working in more than others, or that you have more expertise in?
Well, so I did food and retail, so that's kind of an easy thing. Opened a restaurant and a retail shop down in downtown Lowell. I did that for about 15 years, but I love all businesses, really. I'm getting super excited about this online world, whether you're a digital content marketer, or telling your story through being a blogger, YouTuber, what you're doing here. What Jeff's doing, that's really exciting to me. My master's degree is in innovation and technical entrepreneurship out of UMass Lowell, and my business concept was virtual reality based, so building virtual reality training systems, workforce development systems for people with disabilities, particularly neurological disabilities. So I'm also interested in tech and emerging tech and AI, so really they're all exciting.
That's just interesting in terms of like building out a model for some of the things that are like brand new to the world versus things that kind of exist already.
Well, the cool thing about being an educator in this field is you always learn, you're kind of always pushing your own educational envelope because you don't know everything. We don't tell our students that, but you just don't know everything. And a lot of times someone comes to us with an idea that we have to also do some research on. So we're working together. There's this great, this cool kid that's in our program now, not even a kid, he's a man, but he wants to do a mobile barbershop. So I know a little bit about food trucks, but not necessarily how to apply it. So we're doing a lot of work on that, and it's just fun to always support whatever new idea comes in. I try to avoid redirecting them too much, but mostly help them validate if the idea is something they can actually build and make money at. So
interesting. So if people want to find out more about what you do at Merrimack Valley Small Business Center or at Middlesex Community College, what's the best way for people to reach you?
Well, the best way for Middlesex is our website launch at mcc.com. And for Merrimack Valley Small Business Center, our website is underneath the umbrella of CTI. So the best way to find us is through Eventbrite, and you can just Eventbrite, which is the workshop training program website, and that just search Merrimack Valley Small Business Center.